This video explains how to assemble the RGB CoroTree from HolidayCoro. Now, the base RGB CoroTree will come with a variety of different items. It will come with a curved bottom portion. It will come with 2 strips of vertical side portions. These will be used to separate the back from the front. And it will come with 3 different pieces of Velcro. These will be slotted through these holes, and they'll be used to hold on to T-stakes or bars or posts or rebar. All right, now let's go ahead and get started. Now, there is a front and a back, and this is the back. Now, this is the inside. This is the portion that has the RGB modules mounted on it. You can see a Dmx controller, and then you can see the path of the RGB modules. Now, that will be the bottom. So the back side will actually be this side, which will be attaching to a post, T-bar, or other type item. Now, the top will go over the top of that. Now, they are different sizes. You'll notice that they're slightly different to accommodate the curve in the face. The overall size of these is 28 inches. All right, now, what we want to do is first go ahead and assemble the top. We're going to be laying the top on top of the base, and then we'll be attaching all of the RGB components to that. Now, to do that, what you want to do is work on the sides. Now, these sides are curved, as you can see, as we go along. Now, that makes it more aesthetically pleasing because you will be able to make out the entire outline of this tree when it is completed. Now, this Coro is bendable to a degree, but it doesn't bend smoothly until we put lines on one side and cut one face of this. Now, this will vary depending upon how tight the curve is. For example, here you can see that the curve is not super tight, but it does not want to bend in that direction. So what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to come down. First of all, I'm going to mark where my edge is here, and I'm just going to cut that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come through and I'm going to cut every 3rd hole. And that just gives me a nice little even bend. And I'm just going to put that up there and just measure how I'm coming along here. And a little bit further up. And so what we're doing is we're just cutting those until we can make it around that corner. Okay, looks like we can go ahead and make it around that corner. Now, once we make it around that corner, we're going to be going from a curve going inward to a curve going outward. Now, what I need to do is adjust this so that I go from an outward curve. So what I'm going to do is come in here. I know that I have to curve around this, so what we're going to do, I have a curve here, and I'm going to start cutting on the outside. And I'm going to cut every single one of these. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take my hot glue. Now, the key to the hot glue, first of all, is if you have adjustable temperature unit, adjust the temperature so the temperature is lower. A lower temperature, you want to get it so that it sets up quickly and it doesn't leave the open time too long, because if it's too hot, what will happen is it'll move around, you'll have to hold it in place too long. Ideally, what you'll do is you'll get it to the point where you can just set it in place, wait about 15-20 seconds, and then it will set down. Now, what I'm going to do, let's see here. There's some of that hot glue. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and take the bottom of this, and we're going to be attaching in here. I'm just going to go ahead and put some on here. Now, conversely, you can do it the other way around. You can put it first on the edge. So I've got it here. And now in this particular case, I've got it set up a little too hot, and so I'll need to hold it in place. So what you want to do is just hold it in place for a brief second. You want to make sure that, that it is vertical, that it's standing straight up, and that it is even with the sides, that it's not hanging over. And again, you just give it a few seconds, and then once it's set up, you'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and proceed on. Okay, now I've attached this section right here. You can see that we still haven't rounded this corner yet. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and also cut some additional cuts. So we'll need to go around this corner here. Then come up here. And I'm just going to look and see approximately where we're going to be turning in. And make a cut. And then I can see that we're going to be making some outward cuts. So what we're going to do is just going to go ahead and continue along the sides here, doing each one of these, and we're going to glue it down. So this time what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put the glue on the portion of the base, or actually the face. To set that in place, making sure that we have it all lined up vertically. And again, we'll just wait for this to set up. Now, what we're going to do is go ahead and just complete this same process all the way along the sides, all the way up to the top, and then back around this side. And then when I come back, we'll go ahead and attach the curved base portion to give the face the curve we need. Okay, I've now completed the assembly of the entire side. You can see that it's all assembled to the top to the bottom. Now what we're going to do is take our curved portion, and this will serve as our base on the bottom of the tree. Now it does have a slight curve to it, and we're going to go ahead and glue that in. So I'm going to go ahead and take my glue gun, and I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue right on the edge here. So we've got glue here, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit in here also. Just going to set that into place. And use a little tape to hold that in, just temporarily. Okay, now I'm going to just run a bead. I know it's not easy to see right here, but I'm just going to run a bead along the edge and up the side on the other side. And using a piece of tape at this end, just tape that so it doesn't come out of place. And looks like we're good to go. So I'll leave this tape in place, and this ends up resulting in a curved edge, as you can see here. And now we're ready to proceed on with the assembly of the electronics on the base. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and assemble the electronic components onto the back of the CoroTree. Alright, I have an RGB controller, some Cat5 cable. Now we are using the HolidayCoro method of using Cat5 with power and Dmx Signal over a single cable. And we're going to be using a splitter so we can jump from one tree to another if necessary. I have 20 RGB LED modules. Alright, so what we're going to do is go ahead and get started here. Now I have shortened the length of the leads. Now the RGB module is going to RGB controller is going to come out and go directly into this first RGB module. So I've just gone ahead and shortened the wires. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and attach the Cat5 cable. Now on the Cat5 cable we use the wiring standard here. We use DMX on the orange pair, that is standard E111. Now on HolidayCoro devices we use the solid green, brown, and blue wires to make up the negative wires, and we've just simply grouped those together. And the green, white, blue, white, and brown, white wires, merge those together to create the positive cable. Now, what I'm going to do is just simply go ahead and tin these wires so that they're all together. A little bit of solder on them. And I'm going to do that to my signal cable. which is the orange pair. I'm also going to go ahead and tin the wires on my Dmx controller inputs. That's the red and blue wires. There's also a black wire here, and we will not be using the black wire on the Dmx input. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cold off the black wire for the Dmx input. It's just a ground cable. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and use some of the, if you purchase the kit, you'll get the shrink wrap. I've also put on an optional piece of shrink wrap that I'm going to cover the entire thing with, but I'm going to go ahead and put on the shrink wrap pieces here and solder them together. So the positive goes to the ones with the solids with the stripes, and the negative input, and it is marked on the Dmx module if you're not sure which one is which here. The Dmx controller power input. Okay, so I've got the power hooked up. Now what we'll do is just go ahead and slide those heat shrink tubes over the top, and you can go ahead and hit it with a here. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and do the Dmx Signal. And that is an orange pair. Now, the solid orange wire on the RGA 45 connection on the cable, Cat 5 cable, will be going to the blue wire. So solid orange to the blue wire. And we'll give that a second to set up. Alright, that one's set up. And now we wire the orange and white to the red wire. Alright, we've completed that. Simply put our shrink wrap over that. Alright, and I'm going to slide, just for aesthetics, makes it a little cleaner, not that you have to do this. I'm going to go ahead and slide this larger piece of heat shrink over everything. It's a nice clean connection. Okay, so now I have my power input, my Dmx coming in on this line. Now all we need to do is simply hook up one end, now we have two ends here, one end of the RGB output from the controller to the input of the RGB modules. Now, go ahead and trim these back just a little bit here. Slide these on before we start. Now, if you don't have heat shrink tubing, and heat shrink tubing does look very nice when it's completed, you can also use just hot glue. Alright, so we're going to match the green to the green. Pretty simple. The blue to the blue. And these are common, what's referred to as common anode. That means the negatives are the ones with the colored wires for the red, green, blue. And we're going to match the red to red, which is the red is not the positive, it is the red negative wire for the LEDs. So that's the red output. And finally, in this particular RGB module, the yellow is the common anode, and our Dmx controller has a white for the common anode, or positive. So we've got all those put together. Simply slide over our shrink wrap tubing, and just simply hit it with a little bit of heat here. You can find these at Harbor Freight. Alright, now we're all done. I'm just going to go ahead and give that a test. We have a power injector, and you can see our other videos on how to do that. And we're just going to go ahead and plug that in. And you can see it's going to go ahead and go through its built-in sequence, which only applies whenever it doesn't have a Dmx signal, which in this case it does not. So we're almost there. Now, what we also want to do first, before we glue anything else down, you want to take your included shrink wrap, your Velcro strips, put them through the 3 holes. Now, if you don't intend to use this method, you intend to use some other method of securing these, absolutely you can do that. just pull these through like that. And what I do is I actually just lay them over so that they stay in place. We're going to be putting some glue underneath these just to make sure they don't come loose. So we go ahead and put that through. And put this through on the other side. And finally the other one. Now I'm putting the hook side down, but it doesn't really matter either way. Again, pulling these through so they're about roughly even and laying them over. Alright, so what I'm going to do, start off just simply by putting some hot glue underneath these. And just give it a push here, make sure it gets embedded into there. And this will help it so that in case you pull on your Velcro here, it won't pull through. Alright, we're just giving it a hug there. Alright, now, easy sailing from this point on. Now, you can see that there's a Dmx controller here. There's a plug here where we're going to put our Cat 5 cable through. There we go. Now, you can see that there's a marking for the Dmx controller. Let's just go ahead and glue that down. Just put some hot glue on there and push this down. Now, this controller is water resistant, so in most cases you don't need to put any additional kind of hot glue or sealant in there. If you really want to, you can open it up. There are 2 screws on the side. You can layer it with hot glue. Now, this is simple. You just simply follow all the way around. Just go around here, up, then down around here, up, back around, and then over to the top. So, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and in just a moment I will be back and we'll show you the completed design. Okay, I've gone ahead and glued these down. Now, just a few tips here. Depending on the distance between these, they normally are 3 inches. Sometimes the modules are not made with exactly the same amount. You can go ahead and play with that. You can see that some are not exactly in the right spots, but generally you'll find that they're pretty accurate. Just go ahead and glue them down as close as you can get them. Alright, so we've completed that. Now all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take the end wires down here at the very last module and cut those off since we don't need those. And just cover those with a little bit of hot glue. Alright, so we are effectively done with electronics. Let's just check everything. Good to check everything before we get started here. And you can see it's ready to go. Now if we slap the top on here, you can see it's all diffused. So now at this point, all we need to do is attach the top with the base. Now we simply do that with a hot glue. Okay, we've now completed the top and bottom assembly of our RGB CoroTree. And let's go ahead and take a look at it without the lights on. And you can see that it works on both sides. And you have good visuals from the side. And because it has the curves, it looks like an actual tree, not just triangles in your yard. And it's strong. This is not a wimpy piece of equipment. So, hopefully this has been helpful, and thanks for watching.